Good morning, Stampers, and happy Thursday. And as I look out the window, it is snowing today, which is a little bit crazy, but we've learned to accept crazy the last few weeks. So now it is snowing. I hope everybody is doing well. Today is my last video, Facebook Live, relating to the Ornate Garden Suite. Today I wanted to focus on the other bundle in the set. We've talked a lot about the Ornate Thanks that has the gorgeous fonts for the sentiments and the nice borders, but we haven't really talked too much about Ornate Style. Let me show you. This is the Ornate Style bundle. This is the stamp set first. This is a cling stamp, and it's all flower images. There's no sentiments with this one. This is a cling red rubber stamp set. Beautiful images. We're going to be working with the large flower image today. And then the dies that go with this one are the Ornate layering dies, and these are these, and this is a large die set that comes with this one too. So you have all these beautiful frames, and then you have this. Let me show you a card here that has this one on. It's really, really pretty if I can find it. Let's see. I made a bunch of these. Here. Wanted to go find these because I love this. This here puts this really pretty border along the bottom of a piece of cardstock, and I just think that's so pretty. And then these frames are great too. Here I used the large frame for this note card box that I made. Very intricate, lots of little details. But very much worth it. Just gorgeous. I did this one using the gold foil paper, and I just think that really came out nicely. So those are the dies you get with it. You get these two sets with this bundle, along with your stamp set. All right. So today we're going to work on this card here. Pretty simple card. But I wanted to give you some tips and tricks about doing your coloring with your blends. If you love coloring, you love florals, this is really the set for you. So let me go ahead and get my materials here. Okay, we're going to move this away. Okay, now I've already gone ahead and cut out, oops, that's upside down, cut out a stitched square rectangle, and that is another set that's wonderful to have. These little dies, these are stitch rectangles, and many different sizes, and I cut that out and I stamped my image. Good morning, Barbara. How about that snow out there? And I stamped the image on there. Okay, so this is what we're going to start with, and I'm going to give you a little bit of tips on what I did after a little bit of playing around and watching at some other demonstrators working at these. And just to give you some tips how to get a nice product from your blends. The first thing I'm going to do is make our leaves. And crazy enough, actually use 4 blends to make the leaves. You're going to use the dark and light Mossy Meadow, and you're going to use the dark and light Old Olive. Okay, let's see, that is the light Old Olive. This is not Old Olive. Let me go get my Old Olive. It's going to be one of these over here. Yep, okay. Sorry, I grabbed my Granny Apple Green instead. Dark and light Old Olive. Okay, so these are the 4 that we're going to be using to work on our leaves. Okay, now, the way you start your leaves, I'm going to start with the darkest shade of all these, which is the dark Mossy Meadow. Okay, and I'm going to use the bullet tip for most of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the leaves and see where there would be a shadow because of another leaf hanging over it, or because, oops, I have the wrong end, or because there's a flower hanging over and there would be a little bit of a shadow. So I'm going to just gently, with just little strokes, I'm going to go around right at the base of the leaves, kind of where maybe a flower or another leaf would be hanging over. Okay, and I just kind of take small brush strokes upward, just around the base of those leaves. Now here I kind of colored that whole thing in because that's kind of hanging under that daisy. All right. So I'm just kind of starting to build the color on my leaves, and the color right at the base or the closest in toward the base of the leaf is going to be the darkest, just because there are other parts of your leaves or parts of flower petals shadowing over those. So you go around all your leaves just with the little short strokes. Okay, you don't need a lot here because this is the dark part, the shadowing part. So you're just going to have a little bit around each leaf like this. Okay, I think I hit all the leaves. And then this one I just kind of did along the bottom there. Okay, let me make sure I'm coloring, getting them all in. All right, so that's kind of your first step. You go around and make the darkest shadowy area. Then you're going to move on to the dark old olive, which is a little different. We don't usually do that, but we move from the dark mossy meadow. Now I'm going to do dark old olive, and I'm going to start with my pen, my blend right in there, and just pull out a little more, kind of extending the color. So you want to mix a little bit with the color that's already there, and then you want to extend the color farther down, closer to the tip. Okay, and if you still see a line that you don't like, just go back and go over it again. I'm just pulling the color from the darker mossy meadow and moving it toward the middle of the leaf, toward the top of the leaf. Making sure I go back and I dip into that mossy meadow a little bit, get it a little wet so that it'll blend with the new color. Everybody see what I'm trying to do there? Same thing here. Now with these really tiny leaves, it's a little harder to get all four colors in, but I will do my best. Okay, now I'll turn it this way. Same thing again. I'm using the bullet tip on my dark old olive, and it's squeaking away, and I'm just touching a little bit back into the dark mossy meadow, and then blending it together and pulling it all forward. Does everybody see how that is coming together? Now see, I want to make sure I go back and remove any real drastic change in color. You want it to be a little blended. So touch back into your mossy meadow and pull it on up. Okay, so there. Okay, everybody see what I've done there? Okay. Let me pull it up closer to the camera. Maybe you can see a little bit how the blends are working there, where we started with the mossy meadow and now we have the darker old olive coming and blending in there. Okay, then after we do our dark old olive, we're going to switch gears and go back to our light mossy meadow. So we're kind of alternating here. So we got light mossy meadow, and we're going to do the same thing again. We're just going to go back into the old olive, the dark old olive, and just pull it up toward the top of the leaf. See how it's It gives your leaves a little more interesting color and texture and makes them look a little more realistic when they're not all the same exact color. Okay, make sure you go back and kind of dip into that color. Now this one I'm just going to finish off, okay, with that color there. And then this one, make sure you dip back in and then move a little bit farther along on the leaf. I'm really just kind of doing thatch kind of strokes, going back and making sure that I'm blending together what's already there, but moving my colors closer and closer to the tip of the leaf. It's really fun. Okay, oops, let's get this guy here. All right, you'll notice that for most of my leaves, I just have the little tips left. Here, let me bring it closer for you. Okay, see how that's blending together nicely? They're not all the same color, but they're blended nicely. Okay, let's turn them around this way. The last is the light old olive. Okay, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna kind of finish off the tip of each of the leaves. Okay, going back and bringing in the light mossy meadow as well, so that it, oops, so that it blends nicely. Squeaking away here. And then the last one's down here. So I start my stroke in the light mossy meadow and then I pull it up towards the tip. Okay. And there it is. So easy. I would not call myself an artist in any shape, but I found that technique to work really well to give your leaves a little bit of, hi Karen, thanks for joining, to give them a little bit more color and dimension, because not all leaves are perfectly one color, and I just thought, well, that was a great way by blending all of those colors to make your leaves. Okay, now we're going to move on to the daisies. Okay, now before I start coloring the leaves of the daisies, I'm going to take the dark, let's see, dark old olive. There he is. I'm going to use the bullet, and that's what I'm going to use for my any stems that are exposed. There aren't too many of them. Okay, now another demonstrator suggested this, and I thought it was a great idea. Instead of just leaving those daisies white, they kind of look flat on a white background like that. She suggested to use the light seaside spray, which is a kind of blue-gray color, and just go around the tips of the daisies, just to kind of give them a little bit, because we know daisies aren't perfectly white. So it just gives them a little bit of shadow and color and kind of makes them stand out a little better. Okay, so that's what I did with these. Just went around the edges. You can see where there's little lines on the petals, and I kind of went along the edges there just to give them a little bit of color. Okay, so that's what I did for those. I thought that was a great tip. And then for the center, I used my Mango Melody Dark. Not a better color for the center of a daisy. Okay, so there, that's quick for the daisies. That was super simple. And if you think that that's a little too blue for you, you can always go back with your color lifter and lighten it up a little bit. Okay, let's look at these two big flowers here. I guess they're mums, I don't know. I'm not a flower expert either. I'm not an expert at anything, really. I used 3 colors for this. I started with the dark Lovely lipstick, and then I used the light and dark Rococo Rose. Okay, now let's start with this, and we're going to have the same kind of concept as we had with the leaves. We're going to look where the petals may have shadows, just inside those little places where some shadowing might occur because there's other petals hanging over. That's what you kind of look for. And so I'm just kind of going around. I'm just going to do one of the flowers at a time. I'm just going around and finding where those dark spots may be. Like right here would be a little bit, and you want to keep it close to the base of the petal. Okay, so that's really all we do with this. If you look right there, okay, that just gives it a little bit of dimension. And then we're going to go back with the dark Rococo Rose, and I colored completely the center here, and then I left some of the tips to go over with the lighter color. Okay, then I did the same here. I just pulled up from the dark spots using kind of the same concept we used as the leaves. We're pulling the darker color together with what we're doing now, pulling it closer to the tip of your leaf. Okay, this one here. All right, so now when you look at your flower, it should kind of be, the last color should just be the tips of your flower. So I'm going to go ahead and take the lighter Rococo Rose. I'm going to start in the center where the darker was and then pull out toward the edge. And that's going to mix the colors together a little bit so it's not a real abrupt change in their color. And it just gives them a little different color on the edges. And believe me, I've colored several of these leaves and flowers, and everyone looks different. I said, well, wow, I did the same exact thing for this one and it looks totally different. So don't be surprised. And there's no wrong answer. I mean, just color it the way you like it, but just keep in mind the rule that you want to start with the darkers toward the center and then move out with the lighter colors. And that seems to work with everything. So you can see, there's my flower, how that worked. Isn't that pretty? And look how different it is from my other one, and I use the exact same colors. So, all right, I'm not going to go ahead and do the other one because I think you have the idea. Let's go ahead and color the little flowers. Okay, and for that I use my So Saffron. Okay, light and dark. These are kind of, this one's a little more simple than the others. I took my dark So Saffron and I kind of, oops, let's use our bullet tip. I kind of went over the areas where there was lines. Stampin' Up's real good about that, is putting lines and giving you a little bit of direction about where to color. I really went through with the darks and just kind of highlighted those little lines. And then if the flower was under another one, I kind of made that little shadow line. And then I just went back and highlighted those little spaces like that. Okay, let's just do those 4. We don't have to do all of them. Okay, so that's just what I did for the dark, and then I just went back with the light and filled in the entire flower. So you're still going to see those little brush strokes that we did on the front and also the shadowing. Okay, so there's an idea for that. Okay, So there's a little bit of an illustration for all the different flowers. Okay, let me show you another one I did. This one I did, and I used some different colors. I did the same with the leaves, and I did the same with the daisies. Now with the small flowers, these are mint macaron that I used for these, and then for the large ones, I actually used the Cajun Craze, dark and light, and then on the edges of the petals, I used pumpkin pie, and I really love how that turned out. That's really pretty. That's different. So you can really play around with any of the colors. Okay, and just let me give you a little tip on what I did for this. Let's bring in my pieces here. Okay, I took a piece of, this is the subtle green color, which I can't think, the name's escaping me. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp, oops, just a little message. It's cut at 1 1/4 by 1 1/2. And on the 1 1/2 side, I scored it at 3/4. Okay, and the reason I did that is when you mount these two pieces together, before you do that, you're going to take your single, and what I did is I just folded it over like that and adhered it there. I didn't want to cover any of the flowers. I was trying different sentiments and I really didn't want to cover any of the flowers. So I went ahead and I just put that on top, but I used a little square and then I scored it in half and then I folded it over, and I just thought that was a nice little touch. Then I would mount that to my So Saffron and then right on to my Rococo Rose. Make sure you go ahead and adhere that flat down. So that's how I did that. Very, very easy. But I really wanted to kind of go over the coloring for this one. So if you have any questions about any of the coloring I did today, my recommendation would be to just play and have fun and see what comes out. But this is a great set for that. If you enjoy coloring, you can really, really make some beautiful projects. This is a card box I made, and then I also made cards, you know, for inside. So you can really, really make some gorgeous things. Great for Mother's Day gift if you have a mom that loves to send cards. So just some tips today. And if you have any interest in any of these products, please contact me and let me know. Next week, we are going to be starting on some Mother's Day projects. Let me give you a sneak peek here. Okay. We're going to be making this cute little shadow box, gift box. And the box just opens. Okay. So it's a shadow box, gift box. And we're going to also make this little goodie box. I have some leftover Easter eggs that we can put in there, or I've done it with some little chocolate kisses. We also have these cute little favor boxes, triangular favor boxes, if you're going to have a little tea for Mother's Day. And then my final one is a gift. This is a card folio. Okay, it has 4 cards inside, and you can make a little folio to put them in. And I'll show you details of that next week. So join me next week for my Facebook Lives on Tuesday and Thursday. Take care. Bye now.